Hey, everybody. I'm Rebecca from Thieving Otter Farm,
And I'm Leah with Southern Biophiliac Urban Farm.
and we are two chicks Coturnix bringing you the scoop
Not the poop.
on Coturnix quail. Well, if you know two chicks, you know that we like science.
Yeah, we're a little geeky about like that.
just a tad bit
Tiny
geeky.
bit.
And we have a really cool show today. We are so excited about this show that we're going to drop it outside of our normal day of dropping shows because we couldn't wait to share it with you.
Yeah, because this stuff's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. So again, science. Um, I wanted to do a little science experiment, and we now have the results of the experiment and wanted to share it with you. So let's pop this up here. So, do X-rays affect hatch rates? Leah, do you get people asking about stickers on boxes?
Yeah, all the time. Which we do put the stickers on boxes, but I want to know how this turned out because do we really need them on there?
Exactly. And by stickers on boxes, for those of you who don't ship regularly, a lot of times people will ask us to put, little stickers on the boxes saying, do not X-ray hatching eggs, do not X-ray. And I don't use those stickers. I used to, and then I didn't, and then I did, and then I didn't. But
I still use them. Some people complain, some people love them.
yeah,
It's
and
just
that was kind of
I don't
why
really
I
know how necessary they are, so I'm hoping this answers that question.
exactly. Well, that was kind of why I went back to using them because people really wanted them. But also to me, it seemed like a red flag, like X-ray me.
Yeah, I get that too. Yeah.
So I decided, you know what? I don't know if the X-rays actually do affect the hatch rate of eggs. So thought I'd test it out. So all good science starts with a question, a hypothesis. And so we wanted to see what would happen if we X-rayed some eggs. All right, Leah. So
This is
um,
important.
yes, you know that when it comes to science, we want to remove as many extraneous things that can influence your outcome. Like
Yes. So you want to keep everything pretty much identical except exactly what you're testing.
exactly. Because like if I used all different kinds of eggs, or let's say I tested like one box of eggs was jumbo brown and one box of eggs was pansy or whatever. Like who's to say that the pansy eggs hatched better because they normally have a better hatch rate? Like wanted to
Right.
keep everything the same. So what I did was I selected 3 sets of 20 eggs, and all of those eggs came from the same source. I actually used my splash line because one, they generally have a really high hatch rate. Like shipped here, doesn't matter. They tend to hatch really well. So the other thing is I actually had a lot of them. So I had a lot of
That
eggs.
helps too.
So I was able to collect 60 eggs at one
So they
time.
volunteered as tribute.
Yes, totally. And so that was a big thing because I wanted all the eggs to be the same age. Because again, if I were, testing eggs against each other and say one box was 1 day old eggs and another box was 10-day old eggs, well, not the same.
Nope.
So I wanted them all to be the same age. So all the eggs were between 1 and 3 days old. And all the eggs were boxed the same. I put them in the same boxes I ship in the same foam that I ship in. So same. Okay.
So my question for you
Yeah.
is do you know what the post office uses like for like I know I see the KVP, like what do they use?
Yes. So apparently doing some Googling. Now it took some research. And actually one of my followers came up with this because I posted about it on Facebook. And they were able to find the information because I guess the USPS doesn't really like to put out all that kind of information readily. But they use 60 kbp. So in my experiment, I used 60 and 80. So I went even higher than what you.
So they got a little extra,
Yeah.
extra nuked.
So the boxes were marked control. So that was a box of eggs that was not going to get x-rayed. And then 60 kbp and 80 kbp. And I'll explain what kbp means here in a minute. And then all the boxes, including the control, traveled to and from the vet clinic that I had x-rayed these boxes. And the reason why I took the control is because I want that control box of eggs to also travel with the other boxes. Because what if I hit a pothole and that influences my hatch rate?
Right. That makes sense.
Same, everything the same. And so I took them to the vet clinic. They x-rayed the boxes according to the KBP, except for the control, of course. And then I brought them back and I rested them for 12 hours. Leah, you're a nurse. Do you want to talk about KBP?
Sure. So KVP refers to the peak voltage applied across the X-ray tube. Controls the energy, which is the penetrating power of the X-ray photons. And a higher KVP, the photons are going to be more energetic, so they're going to penetrate denser tissues.
So in this next slide, we get to see what happens when you change the KVP. So
the one on the end, I'm like, where did the eggs go?
This kind of reminds me of I posted today, that little meme thing about a strawberry.
Yeah.
That last one. It's just it's funky. For those of you that are listening to the podcast, there are 3 pictures here. The first one is just a box of eggs and foam. So that's the control. The second one kind of looks like what you would picture an x-ray of a box of eggs sitting in foam would look like. You can kind of see the round eggs. And then the last one is just like gray blob.
It went through and beyond the eggs.
Yeah. It's there's nothing really there that looks anything like an egg. So, yep. Based on this, Leah, what would be your guess and the outcome of this experiment?
If I were to guess, so if X-ray did, affect eggs, I would guess that your worst hatch rate is going to be on the 80 kVp.
Yeah, they look kind of toast, don't they?
That's what I would gather.
Okay. So let's talk about incubation. Again, I tried to cut out any other factors that would influence my outcome. So I pre-warmed my incubator, and this is a great big cabinet incubator from Hatching Time that is super reliable. And I had other eggs in there as well. So if these for some reason didn't hatch, I could look at the other ones and go, did my other eggs not hatch? That I had something else to compare to besides just my control. I also spread them out on the egg tray because I wanted to make sure that there weren't any factors as far as like hot and cold spots. Again, this is a great big cabinet incubator, which doesn't really have those issues that the smaller incubators would have. But I am trying to cover all my bases. So I incubated them at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity was set at 45% for the first 14 days. Okay, so once they went into the incubator, again, I'm trying to make things as consistent as possible. So they went in the middle of the incubator. And they were all in the same tray. So again, I didn't have like some of the eggs up on the top rack and some on the bottom rack. They were all subjected to the same heat and humidity.
And movement too.
And movement, exactly. And I did not candle the eggs. So they went in and I didn't touch them until it was time for lockdown. Speaking of lockdown. So I pre-warmed my HB 700 series hatcher. So same size as my incubator, same temperature, 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And I bumped the humidity up to 55%, which is what I usually hatch at. And
same for me.
Yeah. I found, I used to hatch at a slightly higher humidity.
Same. Yeah.
And I found that 55% is the sweet spot.
Yeah, it really is.
So each group of eggs went into their own individual labeled hatching basket. And then they were placed again in the middle of the hatcher. There's kind of a theme here. And now a word from our sponsors. Thieving Otter Farm. We breed for temperament and health and take pride in happy birds with a goal that each generation is better than the last, so that you can be just as proud of our birds as we are.
Southern Biophiliac Urban Farm. Life and love connect. Where careful and thoughtful selection is maintained to bring you quality birds that are vibrant, good-natured, and productive. We continuously strive to move the industry forward through research and education, ensuring that we bring you birds that will provide you with years full of healthy food, fun experiences, and the freedom that self-sufficiency brings.
Okay, we're back.
What's this slide about?
This is an oopsie. So sometimes your best intentions get messed up. So here I am trying to make sure everything is perfect. Guess what happens? I
could think of a lot of things because when it comes to quail, there's so many things that can go wrong.
Yep. Something went wrong that was not within my control. I got a power outage.
No.
And it was out for a while.
How long?
It was out for like 5 hours.
Okay. That's a while.
It's a while. So the good news is that I was using a cabinet incubator that's well insulated. So, hopefully there wasn't that much of a change. However, I did have some, potential effects with the hatch rate. And this happened during lockdown that we had the power outage. And I did have some chicks that developed all the way to basically the point where they should have hatched and then failed. So is that just normal failure to hatch, which sometimes happens? Or was it from this power outage? I don't know.
But at least, again, all the eggs were exposed to the same thing.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, they all had, if there was a temperature decrease, that it all happened at the same time. So you're right. At least it happened across the board. All right, are you ready for the results?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the control had 3 eggs with no visible development. And I say that versus not fertilized because if an if an embryo dies, early on, it's really hard to tell if it just stopped developing or if it wasn't fertilized at all. So I'm just going to say
Right.
no visible development. I had one late quitter that could have happened during that power outage, and 16 viable chicks. So 16 out of 20 is an 80% hatch rate. Okay. So the 60 kVp, I accidentally broke an egg when I was getting it out of the foam.
Oh no.
So there was one egg that was broken, 3 eggs with no visible development, 1 late quitter. So right now that's the exact same as the control. One pipped but failed. It just, it pipped but never made it out of the shell. And I had 14 viable chicks. So 14 out of 19 total is a 74% hatch rate.
And that's not bad.
It's not too bad.
Mm-mm.
Now,
I'm surprised.
the
This
80
one I'm surprised.
the one that looked like it was just nuked. There was only 1 egg that had no visible development. 2 pipped but failed, and I had 17 viable chicks. So 17 out of 20 is an 85% hatch rate, which means it was better than the other 2.
Which I find surprising because with everything we hear, oh, you shouldn't X-ray eggs, I would think the control would have had the highest hatch rate.
I know.
And I would have thought the 80 would have had the lowest.
Exactly. Well, especially looking at those pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that something that looked like that picture would do some damage. But apparently not much because, now the control had 16 out of 20 hatch. The 80 kVp had 17 out of 20. That could just, I'm not saying that the 80 kVp influenced the hatch rate so that they hatched better, because you could have gotten that had you just, if I had 2 controls.
Right.
But at least it doesn't
look like
to make it worse.
Yeah, affected the hatch rate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so here's a picture of the chicks.
Are these
cute
the
little splash
nuked
chicks.
Ones?
These are all of them. I just,
Okay.
this threw them in a basket together. And I did, so to your question, I did mark them.
Cool, because I want to hear like an update on how they mature and all that.
Yes, each of those groups has a specific web cutting, so that way I can keep track of them for when they mature, when they start laying, see if there's any issues with fertility or anything like that. So I'm going to continue on with this experiment, and I'll have to give an update later on. That'll be fun too.
Yes.
All right, so some things to keep in mind. The sample size was small. So if I were going to do this, for, let's say, a published paper, I'm going to want to do a much larger sample size, and I'll probably want to repeat this experiment multiple times.
Right, because you could have different variables with each one.
Yeah, and hopefully wouldn't have a power outage each time.
Yeah, there's that.
And then speaking of which, there was a power outage during this experiment. So that could have affected the hatch rate. Those chicks that were late quitters, they might have hatched. But even so, had they hatched, I'm pretty sure that the results are still going to be the same. There was not a drastic decrease in the hatch rate of the X-rayed eggs.
Right. I mean, you're talking about just, 1 to 2 chicks off of each one. So
exactly.
Yeah, it wasn't a big change.
Not at all. And then the other thing, if we want to get super sciencey, I only adjusted the kVp of the X-ray. The MAS wasn't studied, and the MAS is kind of the quantity, the number of photons that are used. So it's just another X-ray parameter. So
do we know again that parameter for the post office on that one?
I do not know the parameter for that. So if one of our viewers wants to do some digging and find that out, I could maybe talk my vet into doing some more x-rays for me. Yeah. I'm so lucky to have a vet who likes science as much as I do. When I brought this up to her, the answer immediately was like, yes. And then she started researching trying to find out the KVP that the post office uses.
It's awesome.
So I'm so thankful for having such a cool vet. Okay. Conclusion. So I want to know, you guys need to drop your answer in the comments. Was your prediction correct? Like, what did you think was going to happen?
My prediction was not correct.
Mine wasn't either. And, looking at those x-rays, I thought for sure there was going to be something wonky that happened.
I thought so too. Yeah.
And the other thing to note that I didn't say before is all the chicks look completely normal. So there were no chicks with like 3 eyeballs and 6 legs. Like they all
That's
look
awesome.
normal and healthy and are all eating and drinking. Like literally, I put them in the same brooder and I can't tell one from the other.
That's
unless
awesome.
I pick them up and look at their markings on their feet. So
right. Yeah,
so,
I'm just wondering like if they have any long-term effects. So like I'm excited to hear as they mature how they do.
Yeah, that would be really fascinating. This was fun for me. I actually I don't know if our viewers know this, but I was actually a veterinary technician for 15 years. And Leah, I know that you're a nurse, so
yeah,
we kind of share that in common. And during my 15 years, I took a lot of X-rays. Like it was fun for me. I enjoyed taking them. I actually started out before digital X-rays were a thing. Great, I'm dating myself now.
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, did you have to hand dip the X-rays and the different solutions in the dark room, and it had to be just the right temperature? And when you're dealing with veterinary medicine, it's generally the bitey dog that wanted to rip your face off that the X-ray didn't come out on.
Yep, and you got to do it again.
It was so great when we finally got digital.
It's always like on the people. It's always the human that's going to complain the most.
Oh, yes.
Or the fighting child.
Yes. So this was a fun experiment, and I got to kind of tap back into my old vet clinic days. And it wasn't a conclusion that I, expected based on the X-rays. However, I would say based on, I know that USPS doesn't X-ray every single box, but based on the number of really good hatch rates that we get from our shipped eggs, I wouldn't think that either the USPS isn't X-raying a whole lot or they don't make a difference.
Right.
So this experiment looks like it may have proved that it doesn't make a difference.
It's less stickers that I have to buy.
That's right. Well, that was super fun. And I can't wait to see what happens down the road with those.
We need some more experiments.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's ask our followers to drop some ideas for experiments in the comments. And Leah, do you have any experiments that you might want to do over at your farm?
I'm working on something right now, but I don't really want to talk about it just yet.
Keeping secrets from your co-host. Well, I can't wait.
I won't say it's secret. It'll be surprise.
Okay. Well, we like surprises.
Yes.
Well, thank you all for joining us.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
And have a great night.
Bye.